I'm delighted to welcome to my podcast today the very delightful Danielle Sheahan. Welcome, Danielle.
Oh, thanks, Elaine. Thank you.
So you're a very, very interesting lady, and I'm not quite sure where to start because there's so many things that you're interested in and you excel at. So let's start on where you live. You don't live in an ordinary house, do you?
No, I live in a real lighthouse in Newport, South Wales, UK, and it is 200 years old this year. So we bought it when it was semi-derelict, and we were young then. We come from London, and so when we saw this little piece in a magazine, a lineage, it said Lighthouse in Newport, and we didn't even know where Newport was. So we got into the car and came here. When we arrived, the place was semi-derelict, and it was such a big job, to renovate it. So we went home. We were so disappointed. And then a few days later, my husband said, "What do you think?" We never talked about it when we got home. And then a few days later, he said, "What do you think?" I just said, "Go for it. Go for it." That's what we did. We didn't even think about consequences, because we come from large families and groups of friends in London. We just left. We just said, that's what we're doing. We left our jobs. I was a college lecturer and my husband was in the music industry. We just left, and that's it. And then it took us 2 years to do it up. So we had family and friends come over to help us. Even my mum started decorating, and then after 2 years we thought, well, shall we? We thought we'd let it, so we did let it to some students, but they were holding gatherings and they were having parties and smoking and what have you. So we thought, ooh, let's get out of London, and that's what we did. Normally I'm risk averse, but I was saying to my husband, I'm risk averse, but that particular time we just did it without thinking, where we were going to get the money from, how we were going to do it up, what problems there would be. And obviously where we live, there is no one nearby, so we live in the middle of nowhere. But there are a couple of farmers, not about a mile away, half a mile to a mile away. So we just and we didn't know anyone. So when we arrived here the first time, a pigeon came in. So as I said, we come from large families, and my mum was saying, even on her deathbed, she said, "When are you coming home?" But when we arrived here, there was a pigeon. A pigeon stayed with us for a couple of weeks. It stayed in one of the bedrooms, so that we had company. Is that strange?
Yes.
This pigeon knew that we would be feeling quite lonely, and then kept us company, but it made a mess in one of the bedrooms, obviously. It can fly in and out. It's like, we called him Harry. So, and then from then on, we, because we were, we read about New Age thinking and what have you, but we weren't practicing New Ages. So when we came here, we thought, what's our niche? What do we need to do? And so we started to look at New Age things, So we had psychic fairs in here, in the Lighthouse. At that time, it was a new thing to have psychic fairs. And we had the Christians at the end of our lane, because our lane is 0.7 of a mile. Christians were stopping people from coming to the psychic fair. And then we had a big article in the newspapers, New Agers have come in, and so that was fun. So we started to meet local people, local people who are interested in spiritual things. So but the main focus was to do bed and breakfast. So then we started, getting things organized, having our suite facilities, advertising. So we didn't know anything about running a business. That's another thing. You just live and learn, don't you? You're just like, oh gosh, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. And every day, my husband and I, we used to have a meeting. What we're going to do today? What we're going to do? So we stopped doing that a few years ago. But when we first started, we used to do that. Sort of first, meeting of the two executives.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing like jumping in with both feet and getting wet.
Sometimes if you think too much, you never do it. If we had, and also the men wanted a deposit, which we didn't have, so we had to go and borrow money from my husband's sister. Thank goodness she had that sort of money in a bank account. Yeah, so we didn't have a mortgage organized. It was nothing. No steps. This is before you go into business. These are the steps you do. You have to do your business plan. You have to talk to the bank manager and so on. But I'm not sure. Maybe we're just lucky. Maybe something is looking after us. And also, when we got here, we had a big house in London, and we had to sell it to pay for the mortgage here. But we couldn't sell it then. It was difficult and so on. So we went to the bank, and the bank gave us a big overdraft facility. Just like that. But now, if you go and ask for a bank facility, forms to fill in and so on. No, it was just like, okay, we just give you a big. So we survived on that for a couple of years. The overdraft, and then we got flooded. Kind of a year later, we got flooded. The sea came over, but the insurance wasn't put in, in time. So we got flooded, and we're so worried. We thought, oh my God, the policy didn't go in. Oh my God, because we got flooded everywhere inside. But it transpired that they said, don't worry, we'll accept your insurance policy. Although it didn't go in at the right time, but we were lucky, so they paid us for the damage. But then the assessor would need to come and see what the damage was. But we had a really nice assessor, so all the way we've been helped by, we don't know, maybe divine guidance. So when the assessor came, we got a bit more money than we would have had, So
wonderful. So what do you do? Oh, I've got some feedback. What do you do now, Danielle? You mentioned bed and breakfast. Do you still do bed and breakfast?
At the moment, no, not really, because of COVID. But we are doing weddings, so we're doing outdoor weddings for the moment. But before COVID, we used to do weddings inside the Lighthouse. And that was really fun, but it was secondary to the bed and breakfast. But it was really good fun. It was very different from your hotel wedding, because it's more like a mini festival. So you have loud music, people walking in and out and up and down, looking at the sea, and we have fireworks. It's very intimate. The most number of guests we've had maybe would have been about 80 to 100 maybe. So, but mostly they were quite small, like 50, 60, But with the marquee now, we've got a very large marquee, and that could again take 100 odd guests. But people are scared now to have that, just have small number of guests.
Because hopefully common sense will prevail again very soon, and all this nonsense will finish, and people will then wake up. But it sounds a wonderful venue. That's not the only thing you do there, Danielle, is it? What about your health stuff? Because I believe you're a hypnotherapist.
Well, so when we were running the bed and breakfast, my husband would do that. So he was the main person. But I did the admin work. But as a person who's well, I'm going to say Martian, you know, I've got to do things. So I did all those different things myself. So I trained as a hypnotherapist, a healer. I did lots of different types of healing. I went to America, went to France to learn about these healing modalities. And, you know, I was always looking for things to do, you know, like to upgrade my mind. Because in London, I was a college lecturer, and it was always like, you know, business stuff. You know, I had to do all the prep and the marking and so on. But here, it was different. So I was free. I started to do lots of therapies. So yeah, and I've got a QXCI machine, which is a bioresonance machine. And it's just amazing, really, honestly. You know, the press, we had a lot of articles when it came out, not me personally, but the people in London, in the Telegraph and what have you, and they said it was just rubbish. But I find it amazing. Is just my nephew, for example, he's got some sort of blackness in his mouth, and I did a test the other day, and it said it's a sort of a food additive that's turned his mouth black. So we don't realize about all the additives that food manufacturers put into their rubbish food, you know. So yeah, just like that, it picked it up, and it picked up also that the virus thing, you know, it just says unknown virus. It's just like, because he wouldn't, because my machine's is quite old, and it wouldn't have the name. Just but all the viruses that are known before, it would pick it up. And the machine can do food intolerance, so it tells you what your health, your mental problems. It is amazing. If any doctors, I think a lot of doctors use them just to give them some sort of guidance. But that's, you know, people don't trust. They trust, you know, doctors and things, but not their own way of thinking, and also it's the thought process, isn't it? We know that, but what we need to get known is that we are more than we're told we are.
Yes, and we're all connected, aren't we?
We're all connected. It's like all the cells in your body, you know, if you look at it, we're all, it is working for one person. So it's the same thing in the world, that we're all working for that one, which could be one person. I don't know, that person could be God or what have you, but we're all working, and it's like we're all part of the same, you know, whoever is up there.
The energy and the frequency is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was saying to my husband, right? I was listening to David Icke, and he said he had sorry, my eyes. He said that he had he'd done the ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca,
yeah, mushroom thingy, And he then felt so much love that, you know, just like incredible love. I was saying to my husband, if everyone was given some mushroom, you know, then they would be able to feel that love. I mean, it's got to be done under guidance, you know. Maybe some people could be trained to do that, to to give people these mushrooms. But people with emotional problems, mental problems, it's because there's a lack of love and they can't go through the barriers, you know. So we know about, you know, marijuana and what have you. It does help with pain relief and so on. But, you know, I thought everyone would quieten down. There wouldn't be any wars, wouldn't be any aggression, because we'll all be in this very lovey-dovey mood.
Wonderful. Sounds idyllic, but I don't think, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath on that.
No, but the point is, Elaine, the point is, the more we think about these things, the more it will happen.
Yes, yeah.
You know, like vitamin D, people know now they've got to take vitamin D. Even the doctors now say, oh, you've got to take at least 400 milligrams. Oh, yeah, is it milligrams or something like that? Anyway,
yes, yeah.
400 they said you've got to take. Before they used to say it's rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
You say to them, oh, can you suggest some vitamins? And they say, oh, you get it all from your food.
Yeah, that used to be the case, but no longer. So your machine, so you can assess food intolerances and things that are wrong with people. Do they have to come and see you physically, or is it something you can do over the internet?
No, you can do it virtually. I can do it virtually. So it's, you know, how, you know, this man came up with the idea that you can do things virtually. But here now we think virtually is nothing. Mm. I'm talking to you and you're in Portugal, I'm in the UK. We're talking instantly. Mm. You know, it's like, you know, as if you're in the room with me.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's what my machine does. It does it virtually.
And almost as though you're out of space. So talk to us about the outer space dimension that you're interested in, because I attended the conference that you put on a few months ago, I think it was, and it was very, very interesting about UFOs. So talk to us about UFOs, Danielle.
Yeah, I can tell you that when we first moved here, as I said, all these different things happened to us, like under guidance. We would look out of our window and would see things, lights, and all of a sudden they'll disappear. And they, you know, it's as if they're watching. They'll just disappear. And also we had stories from the farmer that he did see a UFO outside his kitchen window. And farmers wouldn't tell you these things because it's out of the ordinary, isn't it? So, I mean, why would he tell people he saw a UFO? And then also fishermen would also get told us about UFOs going up and down where we are, the River Severn. Why would they say that? No reason, you know. And then we got to hear about this couple and their family who got abducted. So it's the process is like, you know, well, what happened? And then they would tell their story, how they got abducted. And then I know about the community of people who've been abducted. It's like also people who are shape-shifting. We know somebody who does that. You can look at him and he's like, and they have implants as well, so they know they've got something under the skin. They have loads of dreams, or not, they're not actual dreams, but they're like, they can see things. And my friend has, he has little people, aliens come to see him at night time. So that's how the interest, where the interest came from. Is like, and also one night we were outside, I was outside with my friend, and we were we were looking up at the stars, and there was this very bright star. And the next day, and we thought, what's that? You know, is that a UFO? So then next day, I looked at my chain here. You can see that that's a kind of Star of David or what have you.
Star of David. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
This comes from a healing modality called the now it's called the template ceremonies. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, I haven't. No.
No, the lady is called Juliet. Can't remember her second name. Anyway, she lives in Bali. It's all downloaded into her, so they use a lot of geometric symbols for healing. So my chain here, I wear that all the time. The last 20 years, you know, I don't take it off. It grounds you and so on. And then the next day, my chain and the Star of David, for example, all went black as anything.
Oh.
Black as anything. And my friend looked it up online, and it's to do with radiation from them. So that's another thing. You know, it's just like there must be something else. You know, and the lighthouse is on crossing ley lines. Again, we were told about this. You know, like what it does, what the ley lines do. We got into that. So we are connected to Stonehenge and to through to apparently Northern Ireland or Ireland. So yeah, it's fascinating. So we're talking yesterday to my husband. I was saying, gosh, we've had loads of there's my husband there. Loads of incredible experiences, which now looking back, they are experiences that we've been sort of guided in a way, because so we are on crossing leys, which is very unusual. And then we have this chap now called Marco Guy. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
But he's a local person, and he says that that Britain actually is Jerusalem.
Oh, that's
yeah,
a new
you should
one.
look it up. Yeah, that's a new one, and he decodes things all the time. So every day he gets downloads, and he can see the words, and he can see the truth. So he's saying that Wales actually, where I am, there's a place called Gwent, and he's saying that this is where Jerusalem, King of David, was, and that the Bible, just you have to. It's very complicated, you know, but it's really interesting. So it's like the discovery of new things all the time.
Yes, absolutely. And when you hear one story, you think, oh, you know, perhaps they're a bit cuckoo, and then you hear another one, you think, oh, well, maybe they've been talking to each other. But when you have story after story after story, then you know you'd be a fool to ignore it. And then you've gone down the rabbit holes and explored to the point now where you're almost at the centre of things, and hearing that you're on the ley lines. I mean, that's fascinating, and it's actually not a huge surprise to me what you say about Britain is Jerusalem, because it sounds completely crackers to people who've not even started going down these rabbit holes. But with what's going on in the world, Israel and England are two of the most draconian rule setting countries in the world, with all this COVID nonsense, and that can't be a coincidence, can it?
No, you must look at his Facebook page, which is shall I tell you, or you
yes,
could
please. Yes.
It's Silures, SILURES 2020.
SAIL
URS
2020.
So I did interview him, and I will put the video online, because it is amazing. If you look at it and you think, well, it does make sense, you know, and Israel shouldn't really be Israel. It should be here in Wales.
Fascinating.
And the Cymru for Wales, it means something else. And he's decoded everything, all the archangels. He goes back to the Old Testament.
Right.
But all is not, he's just a normal chap. You know, he was okay before COVID. You know, he used to run a business. He used to run a business. He employed like 150 people. And COVID then came, and he's, you know, obviously his job was gone, because he was a security firm looking after events and Glastonbury and big events. So all of a sudden he started to get downloads. He doesn't know where it's coming from.
Wow, very interesting, all this stuff. I'm going to have to do loads more research.
Do some research.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Honestly, it is amazing, because people think he's like, you know, making it up. But a simple person who's not educated, why would he go to all that trouble?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? I'm just looking up here on the web. I'm just what's this thing called? I'm just looking at here we go, The Lost History of Earth. It's a 5-hour documentary. I've just put it on my timeline today on Facebook. The Lost History of Earth. I've put it on my Telegram and my Facebook. It's absolutely fascinating, and it's showing us all the things that that have been hidden, and things like photographs going back to 1820, 1840 in countries all over the world. And there's magnificent buildings that obviously we can see today, but they were there then, and yet there was no people. So and then when you look at the records, they were saying that there were, say, like 500,000 people registered in a city, but then when you look at the city, it's the same size as it is today. So why would they have a huge ginormous city for just 500,000 people? And then how did all these buildings get built? And yet they're trying to convince us that the power drill only came about, you know, 100 years ago, and yet these buildings were already built. It's amazing.
It's the education system, though, isn't it? It's the scientists and the people who think themselves as professional people. They're the people burying the truth. You know, that they come up with this idea. Oh no, it can't be right. You know this. You know, but then you have people who are breaking through and telling us what's what. You know, so I'm praying for these people to come forward, just like now, to come forward and tell us what's happening. And they are coming forward, aren't they?
Yes, gradually we are seeing a turn, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, doctors are coming forward. I was just listening to someone from Australia saying how the thing works, because it goes inside, but only 20% would stay there, but the rest would go through your the whole system, the brain, and then the spiky bits, then they stay inside your blood vessels.
Yes.
So then your blood doesn't flow,
mm-hmm.
you know, like as it should be. So the heart then has to pump harder to get the blood flow.
Yes.
And then he's saying that a lot of people are having these very minor heart attacks, which you don't realize it, because you might be feeling fatigue, but you might be having a little heart attack.
Yeah, and then thrombosis.
It's only the major. Oh yes, the little blood clots, but the big, ones are the ones being reported. So a lot of people are coming forward. So I'm happy in a way, because the world will change for the better.
Absolutely. You mentioned the education system, and I'm definitely with you on that. And if I had young children today, I definitely would not be sending them to school. They would definitely be home educated. I'd find a way to do it. And there is a big demand for home educating and forest schools, etc. And with the communities that we're building out here in Portugal, a forest type education is part and parcel of the community that we're planning to build. You yourself were in education. What were you lecturing in when you were back in
business studies, economics. So I mean, it came handy because, you know, I've been running a business successfully, so, you know, I didn't have to start from scratch. So people who haven't had that education, you know, it's hard when you start a business to get the figures right and to, you know, to be able to talk to your accountant and read the figures and so on. So, no, nothing is wasted, is it?
No,
I always say challenges are not wasted.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, there's a purpose for each challenge. So, you know, people like, oh, cry, you know, because I've broken up with someone, cry because I've lost someone, or, you know, but all these are challenges that we should be grateful for.
Absolutely, I say that all the
but
time.
It's difficult to tell that. It's difficult to tell that to people because, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm miserable and so on. But you say, well, it's gonna move you forward.
Yes. Yeah.
Then they'll think you're wicked if you say that to them. You know, sometimes you have to be a bit cruel to be kind.
Yeah.
And like when I was a hypnotherapist, for example, when people started to cry, you're supposed to let them cry. You know, you're not supposed to sort of say there.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you, Danielle, because emotions that are held in cause ill health and distress and illness and inflammation and so on to the body. So we do need to let our emotions out, whether it's anger or sadness, happiness, you know, whatever it is. We need to keep the emotions moving. Very important.
Yeah. But also we need to do it ourselves. So if somebody comes over and goes, yeah, there, stop it, you know, it doesn't benefit them.
No.
But obviously we need to, you know, show compassion and so on. But as a therapist, when you know, we were told that you're not supposed to. But as in a family situation, it's different, you know. Family.
I say often that, as you do, nothing is wasted. All these experiences are there to teach us, but also that I'm often considered, you know, somebody described me yesterday as being bold. Basically, that was because I speak my mind and I sort of don't take prisoners. I'm not completely without compassion, but equally I don't encourage victim mentality, nor woe is me and all the rest of it, because it doesn't serve anybody, does it? But some people who think that my boldness is too harsh, then accuse me of being a narcissist and this and that. But I'm sorry, that's their view. We can't change who we are. It's being aware, isn't it, of who we are and playing to our strengths. And my strength isn't going, oh dear, poor you. You know, I'm more of a pull yourself together sort of person, and, you know, man up, pull your big girl pants up, and this sort of
sometimes you have to, because then they think, well, ooh, I've got to show her that I can do it. You know. So are you Aries?
I'm an Aquarian.
Oh, Aquarian. Normally you're quite soft and, you know, but you can see both sides.
Yeah, I can see both sides, and I do, and I'm very lucky that I can see all parts. In my first business, I started over 40 years ago with no business experience whatsoever. We built it to nearly 2 million turnover with my first husband.
Gosh, what business was that?
That was kitchens. That was kitchen design and installation. We had 4 showrooms in London. We did all of Harrods installation work. I can go along the River Thames and point out all the buildings that we put kitchens in, and I was organising it all. And apparently that's called project management. I didn't know that at the time. I was just doing it by common sense that, you know, need to do certain things in a certain order, but no business mentors, no nothing. And it was a very interesting time, fascinating. But I've learned recently, I had what do they call it? Regression. There's a very interesting lady up in Scotland who does regression therapy and also chakra healing sort of at the same time. So if she, again, virtually she does this. So if she is clearing the chakras, she may come upon previous lives. So it turns out I've had 3 previous lives, and the contrast between them is enormous. So some very, you know, very comfortable times and some very, you know, terrible times. And I think that's how I am today. I'm a product of all of that, because I can mix with lords and ladies and Buckingham Palace and all that malarkey, which I have done in the past. I wouldn't give you a thank you today, but I've attended many of the palaces and royalty and so on. And also I can mix with homeless, and I've set up and run a charity that included homeless people and so on and so forth. So I can go between all these kinds of worlds comfortably, because apparently I've lived them. And I've often wondered how it is I'm comfortable, but I think a lot of it as well is being comfortable in my own skin, as you clearly are as well. We're not scared of speaking out. We are who we are, and we go with the flow, and we're happy, aren't we? I mean, we're happy people, we're positive outlook, and we just let life flow.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's amazing, Elaine. Gosh, I do regression as well, so I want to regress that a chap and find out what's happening, who's downloading all that information. When I was doing, I stopped doing hypnotherapy, you know, the last few years, but when I was doing it, we had some interesting cases, you know, like some people went back to the time of Jesus. I remember that clearly.
Wow.
You know, so we do, and some people told me about their in between lives, where they are, you know, they're sort of holding and waiting. So, but I've got so many interests that I'm not really totally focused, you know. So I'd love to do more regression, because that's so interesting.
Well, that's very interesting too, because the lady who I mentioned, she's poorly at the moment, and we've got a couple of friends who want to do regression, so I think I'll be sending them your way.
Oh, excellent. So what was I going to say? With regression,
presumably you do it on Zoom, do you, or that type?
Yeah, I've never ever done it on Zoom. It's always been one-to-one.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it's you know, the life after death. That my husband is really interested in that. What is life after death? And also I had Robin Foy, who did a lot of experiments in Skull in Norfolk. He's continuing this in Spain. So he's near Malaga. He's moved into a large property, which is going to run as a retreat center.
Oh.
So he's trying to find evidence, proper evidence, that people just, you know, don't disappear and just become ashes. You know, there is life after death, and he's this time he's more prepared, because in England he was just doing it for fun, you know, just a group of mediums coming together to meditate and so on. And when they were doing that, they did that over 5 years, and they had loads of practical, physical experiences. Like they had blue people come down. They had a connection with Edison and Churchill and what have you. So these people still are somewhere. We don't know. But so
well, that also links in with the UFO thing, isn't it? Because if we are to believe that the galaxy is a multi-dimensional, multi-time, you know, time doesn't exist, there's we can't be the only surviving human, or I don't know, maybe we're the aliens and everybody else is human.
No, that's quite correct, Elaine. We're all aliens. We're all from different planets, from different galaxies. So if you look at us, we're all, physically we operate the same, but if you look at people visually, like Chinese, like Africans, like, there's something quite different about people, not just cultures, but so really we might, the physical features are different, so yeah, we are from different planets. We are aliens. We're all aliens. And soon, maybe with this new technology that we've got that we don't really understand. So the other thing that sort of makes me realize that as normal humans, where did all this creativity come from? The creativity that we're talking about on Zoom, and it wasn't available before 2020, was it? And all of a sudden, yeah. Where does this technology from, like planes and sorry, the phone is ringing. I'll just turn the...
Okay, you've muted yourself, so we can't hear. So I'll just talk over that while your phone is ringing, and then you can unmute. So we're going to wrap up now, Danielle. And is there anything that you'd, are there any tips, life tips or wedding tips or any kind of tips that you want to share with the audience before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I know people, they say, have a smile as soon as you wake up. Just smile as soon as you wake up. I know we know this, but maybe I don't do it myself. Maybe that's something we should all do. So we smile. So we are in this good, we have this good feeling. Then we wake up and stretch and just accept everything. That's it. You have to accept things before you can change them. So if we accept that you're not feeling well, then you can change it. And if you accept that you're poor, then you can now take steps to become a bit better,
Yes, yeah.
So I think the basic thing is to feel good in yourself. And when you wake up and just like stretch or say a prayer, which I do, my advice is to smile, just to wake up, say your prayer and decide what you're going to do for the day. Then wake up and say, I accept everything. And if you believe in a higher spirit, then say, thank you. Don't beg, because they say you mustn't beg, just say thank you for what you want. And then and just go ahead with your business and live in the now. So past, people go back in the past all the time. For me, the past is gone. So what, my life in London, my life, just like, well, accept it. It's gone, finished. Yeah. Why go over and over it again? People who've been abused and so on, they just go over it. Just accept it. It's like finished. And also, I would say to talk to your subconscious mind and say, look, I'm in charge.
Yes.
Don't bother me. I am in charge. If you say that a few times, I'm sure the subconscious mind will just go, oh, sorry. Just like,
very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's what I say to people. Just talk it and say, I am in charge, not you. Go away.
Very good. How can people contact you, Danielle?
There's my my website, which is the West Ask, www.West Ask is spelled USK lighthouse.co.uk. West Ask lighthouse.co.uk. I did have my own website, HypnoWorks, but I have to redo it. So I'll probably use the same domain, hypno-works.co.uk. Well, Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Twitter, you know, so yeah,
Marvellous.
no, life is interesting, really. It's, you know, you wake up every day, where I live, you wake up like you probably, you see changes, you know, like in nature. And that's what they say, if we want to accept ourselves, we've got to accept nature. So yeah, go outside and just look at plants, look at birds, look at bees, look at flies, look at spiders.
Everything.
Yeah, that's what we should do.
Yeah, everything is changing, but everything is wonderful, and it just is, isn't it? We can't change the present and the now unless we're aware of it. And then,
Yeah, just
if
to
it's not what
become
we want,
more and more aware of where we are.
and enjoy with a smile on our face. Fabulous. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. And
thank
I
you.
hope one day to meet in person, Danielle. Who knows?
Oh yes, my conference is on the 17th of October on Zoom. If you just type in Eventbrite, UFO conference, UFO and Paranormal Conference, 17th of October will come up anyway. So I hope, and next year, I hope to have a physical one. So I did have 2 physical conferences in 2019, and they were so enjoyable, really. It was like, ooh, it was like really nice. So I'll go back to having the physical ones if we're allowed.
Right. No, no if, there's when.
2022.
When.
Oh yes,
Not if.
yeah, yes, yeah. We've got a marquee now, so we can have them here. We can have loads of new age events as well.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Positive thinking, positive thinking events. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank
Danielle
you.
Sheahan. Thank you.
What wonderful, wonderful. And yeah, I'd love to come and see you too. You know, Portugal. I love Portugal.
Anytime. You'll be very surprised, because by the time you get here, you'll have something to show you. At the moment, it's all planning stage and land clearing and all this.
I
sort
know
of thing,
you said.
very exciting.
Are you selling the
We will
properties
be.
that you're
Yes,
building?
we will be. Yes, we will be selling. Well, on long lease, because the way the properties, the way the land law is here, somebody owns the land, and then we're actually going to do it as a non-profit and a community sort of set up and community guidance. But the cabins will be leased on long lease to people, so it's going to be a really wonderful community living, sustainable, eco this, that and everything, green and whatnot, all generations mixing together, old people teaching young people, all, you know, how life used to be.
Yeah, that was my dream as well. You know, it's always been my dream to have to build a community, and I've been thinking about it really. The way forward for all of us is to become community based. So, you know, shop locally, you know, do things together as a community, because that's gone, isn't it? You know, even our local village hall, but no one uses it. You know, so no one, people have escaped, you know, they're just like community. But I think that's where we should be heading for.
Yeah, we are
community-based living, because that's what's missing, and that's why people miss that love that they would get from a community.
Yeah, we need the connection. So Danielle Sheahan from www.westasklighthouse.co.uk. That's the easiest one for me to remember. Have a wonderful day.
If people just type Lighthouse Newport, will come up anyway.
Cool.
Not many lighthouses have a proper website, you know, so sorry to say that, but you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and also I'm also going to say that we've been in the media, we've been on television and so on. So soon we're going to be in BBC program as well. So they're coming to film tomorrow.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so hopefully that'll be you know, we might still do some sort of bed and breakfast or self-catering in the grounds. Yeah, so tomorrow they're coming to film.
Fabulous. Time to get the housework done.
Oh, by the way, we've been on Doctor Who. So if anyone is listening and is a Doctor Who fan, we were on series 12, episode 5.
Ah, okay. I don't have a television license. I don't watch mainstream, but there's lots of people do. So Doctor Who.
Yeah, people do Doctor Who. Yeah, people. Well, that's connected with space travel and UFOs.
Yeah,
and when they came here, the storyline was that they buried the TARDIS in a few yards from us, and we've got a TARDIS now that's become a loo. So we call it either Dr. Lou or Dr. something else.
Yeah.
You know, so
very good.
so and also we've got a Dalek. So we've always had a Dalek, yes, a big one, massive Dalek.
Very good.
Very good. But there's connection here with space and UFOs and space travel. We all want that, don't we? Space travel, Cosima. Can you imagine?
Isn't there thinking about? Right, on that note, off you go to get your house.
Yeah, thank you.
TV crew.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh gosh, it'd be lovely. But I wouldn't want to tumble in and out. But you know, just like sit like on a plane.
Yeah, I think we do tumble in and out where we get these deja vu moments, and we can't find things, and then we can find things, and you know, we lose our keys and all these sorts of things. I think some of that is all part and parcel of this multi-dimensional time travel.
Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah, because it happened to me quite a lot before. But and things will appear and disappear. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It's just like, time to go. Time to go. Thank you. It's been lovely chatting. Thank you very much, Elaine. So I'll see you at my conference in October.
You certainly will. I'm sure I'll see you online before in anyway.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.